Thank you for organizing this and for gathering all these beautiful faces and people and souls. I feel really honored to be here. It feels very very special to be able to share across time and space the energy together today. The intelligence that is coming through is your intelligence as well. So there's nothing that I will say today that you don't have access to. There's nothing that I share that doesn't come from every single soul and every single human being inside themselves if they make the journey within. And, you know, they say it's the longest journey between the head and the heart, but it's the most important one we will ever do and the most important path we'll ever take. And in my experience, it can be the path of a lifetime. It is my life's journey, and it constantly brings me to go deeper and shed another layer of limiting belief, to heal, to discover another layer of wisdom and another dimension within myself. And so for those of you who have read my book, know that when I had my near-death experience, it wasn't, oh, there I am. I'm awakened now and I'm enlightened and this is it. I've arrived. I am all well and all expanded and loving and everything's great. That's just not my experience with this work, is that it constantly invites us to the next layer over and over and over again. And so I have 2 kids and they are my greatest teachers. And right now, you know, they're getting a little older, and the mirror that they bring for me, I mean, it breaks my heart sometimes. It just brings me to the floor, to my knees. And at the same time, it's the most incredible opportunity to look at what's moving through me, what needs healing, what needs attention, and what needs love. And I'm so grateful I know that. I'm grateful that I know that no matter how intense and difficult the challenges are, and they feel very intense when we have children, when our children are the people that we care about, that there's always an intelligence. There's always an intelligence because we are so connected to each other. And we are here as souls having contracts with each other to be able to bring each other further on our evolution and on our transformation and on our integration of who we really are. It's my conviction that we are spiritual beings having a human experience right now, and not the other way around. We're not human beings first and foremost, sometimes having spiritual experiences. Our true nature is spiritual. It's light, it's divinity, it's divine, it's intelligent, it's non-local, meaning that it is connected to everything, to the field. And we just so happen that in this moment, in this time and space, we're having a human experience, but it is not who we really are. And it is my conviction also that the light that we are, the essence of who we are, communicates through our body in a way that we can understand. We were not taught this in school. We weren't modeled this by our parents and the people around us. But there is a way to hear, feel, see, integrate, manifest the intelligence of this light that we really are. And it communicates through the device, through the instrument, through the vessel that is my body, your body. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I was kind of taught that my body was almost like the enemy. It was always getting sick. It was, it was at the mercy of illnesses. My genes couldn't be changed. That really, it was just going to decay and get old and get sick, and I didn't really have any control over that. And we know now, with the studies in epigenetics and the studies that we have with the heart that comes out of the Heart Math Institute in California, and the new biology and the quantum biology, that it's absolutely not the case. That the genes that we have when we're born and how they change because of our environment as we grow up, they're impacted by our environment, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's violent or joyful, there's laughter, music, there's a lot of fighting, whatever it is, if there's trauma, registers in the cells of our bodies. But what we know is that we have the capacity now to change that and completely shift that by shifting the environment inside ourselves, and therefore shifting the environment outside ourselves. It begins with shifting the environment inside ourselves. And so it's not up to a teacher, a guru, a psychologist, a counselor, a guide to heal us. It's up to us. And I always say when people come for the one-on-one session, the person has to be willing to be free. The person has to want to be free. It has to be a desire, because a lot of people do want to stay sick. They want to stay the victim, right? And because it's an identity that has protected us for so long. So I say, if you are on this journey and you are willing to free yourself, and you are willing to tap into the deeper dimensions of yourself and to take responsibility for everything that moves through you, then this embodied way of healing and of tapping into wisdom is for you. And I think it's for everyone. I just think that we've been living separate from this device for so long, for way too long. It is so brilliant. Our bodies are biological processor of energy and information, and that is what they're made for. Yet we've ignored them, and we stay up here focusing on the past, projecting the past into the future, and we forget that there's all this information here that wants to be processed, that wants to be surrendered, let go, and so that there's space for that beautiful light that we are to come and move through our body. And I see it like the prism on the dark side of the moon, the Pink Floyd CD, like that beautiful prism. And there's the light that comes on one side, and that's our soul, the universe, source, divine love, divine light, our essence. And then the prism is our body, our beautiful body. And then the rainbow on the other side is our life, what we manifest, how we express this light. And as the light moves through the prism of the body, depending on what lives inside the body, we will manifest and express accordingly. And so when there's freedom inside here, in my heart, in my solar plexus, when there's lightness in my belly, when I'm able to bring my attention deep down at the base of my spine and breathe so deeply, deep down inside my body, I allow the prism that is my body to process, to let go, to surrender, and to open up space for the more that I'm here to manifest. And the organ of the heart is so incredibly special, because for so long we've thought that the brain was the master organ in the body and that it controlled everything. But what we're realizing is that the heart's capacity to process is way greater than the brain. And that in the heart, there is brain-like cells that retain memory, that think, that process intelligence. And the thing about the heart's capacity to process is that it's quantum as opposed to linear up here. Here it's linear, incremental changes. We can talk and talk and talk therapy for 10 years, 20 years about a trauma, and we will have changes and we'll have incremental changes, we'll have linear changes. But when we let the heart process the trauma, if we trust our heart's capacity with our breath and with our attention in the heart to process the experience, we can do it like this. We can do it like this. And I'm sure you've all had experiences where something feels incredibly overwhelming and you're surrendering to it as opposed to try to manage and control it has brought up so much inner peace, and your intellect doesn't know what happened. Your intellect is not quite sure what was processed and is trying to make sense of it. And that is what people mean when we say we get in our own way. We try to understand with the limited intellect the infinite intelligence of the interconnection of all of our energy inside and all of our energy connected to everything around us. It's impossible, yet we try. We try so hard to figure it out, to manage it, to control it. And there we have access, just a couple of inches below, we have access to a quantum processor. So what I mean by that is that as you're listening right now, notice how your breath is. Your breath is the fuel for the processor to function optimally. So you want to increase it. You want to exaggerate it. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. When you breathe out through the mouth, you really drop your jaw, allowing everything around the throat chakra to soften, to relax, to surrender. Because we often keep our tongue stuck on the roof of our mouth as to not let the intensity move anywhere, go anywhere. And that gives us headaches. And if you've read the book, you know I've lived with sinus pain for years until I had this massive emotional breakdown in a leadership course. And then the pain was gone. The pain was gone. It was 28 years at the time. So that was, I don't know how long ago now. I can't do math right now. It was 28 years of emotional baggage that I was keeping at bay, keeping everything up here. My identity was here, my ability to be smart and wise and to be able to control and manage my environment was my identity. It's who I was. And I kept everything down here kind of out of my awareness. I had no idea that there was a whole world here. And when I allowed my heart to speak to me that day, when I had that huge release, I didn't know what I wanted to say. I was actually a little scared of it. I thought, if I let you speak or I let you do your thing right now, I'm going to lose control. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what the sounds that are going to come out of my mouth. I'm not going to be able to keep my image of Anne, PhD, professor, mom, daughter-in-law, wife that I had cultivated. That was probably going to go out the window in that moment. Yet I listened because I couldn't take it anymore. My body was under so much pressure, and I'd been living with pain in my sinuses for 2 years nonstop, morning to night, all night, all day, every day. And then that day was gone. There is such a direct link, and I'm sure most of you know this, between our emotions and our pain and our physical ailments and our emotions. And often it's subconscious, it's unconscious. We don't know. If we knew, we would fix it right away, right? But I remember that day, it's almost like I was trapped in that course. My mother-in-law invited me to come, and I thought it was going to be a business course. And I get there and everybody's crying and everybody's breathing and everybody's meditating, and I don't understand what's going on. And so none of that made sense to my intellect, yet my body was reacting to something that it needed. So what began that day, and what I want to invite you to consider, is a deepening of the trust in your body. Deepening that trust, that relationship that you have with everything below the neck. How do you interact with your body that way? Do you allow yourself to breathe into the pain that you feel in your heart? Do you allow yourself to bring your attention in your belly, soften your abs, just soften your Buddha belly, let it hang, undo that button that's too tight, that belt that's too tight? Do you allow yourself to breathe deeply into the solar plexus where your fire lives? Are you afraid of the anger that lives there? Are you afraid of the anxiety that takes over your life? Understanding the first 4 chakras in the body is life-changing, because that is how the light of our soul, the light of our source, the light that we really are, manifest through the body, is through these different energetic centers in the body. And when it comes to the level of the heart, it manifests in sensations, manifests in insights and feelings and emotions. Maybe even if your eyes are closed and you're breathing deeply into your heart space, maybe there's even colors or images or thoughts or memories that come up. The language of your soul moving through your body is very subjective, meaning that it's personal. It's a personal experience. And we read all the books to see what it's supposed to look like, to heal, to wake up, to be enlightened, to be spiritual. And what we don't say enough is that it is a personal, subjective experience, that it's really important not to underestimate or undermine the heart fluttering or even heartburns. It's like, well, that's just heartburn. No, it's not. It's the fire pushing on the fire of the 3rd chakra, pushing on the 4th chakra, trying to make its way through, creativity, trying to push through, and being interrupted at this level because of the beliefs that we have about our bodies, about our capabilities, about who we really are, about what's possible for us. I often say, like, if you bring your attention in your lower belly and you breathe deeply there, what do you feel there? What do you sense? And then some people say, well, I feel like I have gas now. And then I'm like, that's great. And like, that's great. That's gas. What's going on? Air of the 4th chakra in the heart. So the element of the 4th chakra, of the heart chakra, is air. Air in the 2nd chakra, air in the family system chakra. Something's moving, something's brewing, something is changing. And it's not always important to understand why and what is it related to, what story from my family, from my past it's related to. No, let the body do the work. Continue to breathe into that space and notice what happens. The best place to go in doubt is at the base of the spine in the first chakra. If you can bring, even keeping your eyes closed right now, or you can close your eyes if you feel like you can embody yourself better if your eyes are closed, or you want to try with your eyes open, and just invite you to deepen the breath and bring your attention at the base of your spine. What I mean by that is imagine almost like an elevator with your mind's eyes going down, down. Breathe deeply. Your mind's eyes, your attention is going down into the body. All the way down to the base of the spine. And when you're there, there's a little bit more peace, a little bit more stillness, a little bit more quiet. And from there, you have access to information, valuable information. And it's not going to come as the way you expect it. It's not going to be a voice coming in and saying, hey, here's the wisdom I want to share with you. It's going to come in as sensations, knowing, feelings. Notice what your body's telling you when your eyes are closed or open and you're breathing deeply and your attention is in the lower body. What is going on? And then when you feel something, whether it's heat, restriction, tightness, opening, tingling, butterflies, gas, whatever it is, I want you to bring your attention there to where you feel it and increase your breath into that space. And I want you to say, hi, I love you. I see you. I'm here. And then you can ask, what do you need? How can I help you? Now again, the communication back won't be like you expected. And you might dismiss it because it's so simple, or it feels too simple. But listen, your body is speaking, your soul is speaking through your body in a subtle way, but in a way that's very unique to you. Continue to breathe deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. As soon as we stop this deep breath, our minds go crazy. And if you're in your mind right now, your thoughts are going, wondering about the meeting you just left or what you need to do for this afternoon, give yourself that chance again to go back into the body, even if it's just for a few moments. And if you've never done this before, your body might go, yay, oh, yay. And then there might be a lot of sensation and a lot of emotion and a lot of intensity. Trust that if you increase your breath and you stay there, something new will unfold. A new understanding, a new awareness. And then bring your attention to your heart. What's going on there? If you bring that elevator, your mind's eyes, down your throat and into the center of your chest. And then you breathe deeply there. What is happening there? What is the experience of you being in your heart? And regardless of the experience, even if it's tightness or if it's expansion, whatever it is, I want you to increase the breath and say, hi, I love you. I see you. Even if it feels scary and intense, and even if you say, well, what I see and what I feel is a black hole, it's good. It is the experience that is living right now in your body. And it's the intensity is always propelled by light. There is never a black hole, a dead end, a abyss. There's always light underneath every single fear, always. Every single limited belief, every single hurt and pain that we hold in our body, the reason why we feel it is because it is propelled by the light underneath that's trying to push through the prism. It's trying to push through the prism so you can see what wants to be healed. And when you're here, you're doing yourself the best favor of all, because you're not in your intellect, not trying to use the same old values and beliefs to deal with this pain. You're actually accessing the quantum field that you have to heal. Everybody has it. If you have breath, you have access to this. If you are alive, your role is to access this. It is who you are. So notice. And then if something changes, if it gets more intense, or if it starts to move up the throat, follow it. Now, this is in the neuro-linguistic programming. We know that emotions are moving through the nervous system, and they're staying there because we want them to stay there, because of our desire to stay safe as we grew up. It was important for us to hold these things here so that we could keep ourselves safe to survive our environment. We all have had trauma of some sort in our childhood, in our young adulthood, and we say, thank you, belief. Thank you, limiting belief. Thank you, conditioned belief, defense mechanism, for keeping me safe all these years. I needed you, or else I would not have made it through that, family. Thank you. Right? A gaze of love, un regard d'amour en premier, first and foremost. Gaze of love first. I'm so grateful that you kept me safe. But now I know I am safe. What do you need to go home? And we listen. And then if our minds wants to take over, we bring our attention back into the sensation, into the body. This is what I call embodied spirituality. I can understand all the books that I've read. I can read about Vedic wisdom, Huna. I can read all of the Hay House books. And I can intellectually understand processing like this. But until I embody the fullness of my soul, it will stay an intellectual concept, and it will not have any concrete changes in my life. Nothing major can really shift until I embody the wholeness of who I am. And that means to own the guck and the yucky and the stuff that we label as bad. Own it. And what I mean by own it is look at it. And the best way to let go of shame is to talk about it, because shame only thrives on secrets. Share it with someone you trust, and then notice where it lives in your body, and go right there and be with it and own it. It's so wanting to process, it's so wanting to go back home, but shame and secrets and quiet and le silence keeps it there. So share it, speak it, and then let your body process it. Maybe there'll be tears, maybe there'll be screaming, maybe there'll be completely feeling like you're being deconstructed and you're on your knees and you're surrendering. But just know that nobody's ever hurt themselves with breath and attention. It feels like that. I remember after my car accident, 5 years later, my liver had lacerated in half in the car accident, and they had to pack around the liver to bring it back together so that it would stop bleeding. And I had a near-death experience, a beautiful experience in the accident. But when I woke up the next day, I didn't have any ways of living this way, the way that I experienced in the car accident. And it took me 5-7 years later to really understand that in order to live the way I saw in my vision that night in the car accident, I had to live through my body. I had to be in my heart. And one night I remember 7 years later, I went into my liver with my attention and my breath. I wanted to heal it even more. And the liver is emotions, right? It holds our emotion, our anger, our fear, our frustration. And I really trusted my teacher, and I brought my breath and my attention there. And I felt that if I actually took a really deep breath into the space of my liver, that I would hurt myself, almost like it would break open again. And I'm sure some of you have had that experience. Like, we stop breathing when something hurts here, because we feel like maybe our hearts are going to stop, or we're not going to be able to take that next breath. But I did. I just went deeply into it, and then I could feel almost like the cracking of a turtle shell, like going, and then almost like my liver had been waiting 7 years to breathe like this. But I know the fear that comes with that. To take a deep breath in the heart when it hurts feels counter instinctual, but it is intuitive. It's counter-instinctual because the body's protected us for so long, and it did a great job. But it is intuitive because this is what it needs. It's like we're bringing breath and attention, which is love. And it's like, are you sure? I don't know. The last time we were vulnerable, it hurt. And then we say, no, I'm going to love you. And it's going to be okay. And then we take that deep, deep breath. And then we let the body do its work. Maybe they're shaking, and then we'll feel cold, and then we'll feel hot. And there'll be a lot of water coming out of these little holes, which we have so many beliefs around that, especially in public. But the water element is the second chakra in the belly, and it is the support and the guide and healing waters after a good cry, a good treatment, a good session. If we could only see it as that, almost depersonalize our relationship with the water coming out of the eyes, we would let it come when it's trying to do its job, when the body wants to process. So when it comes to the first 4 chakras in the body, the heart for me is the very special chakra, because it's a direct link to our soul. This is where, when I peel off the layers of my conditioned beliefs at the level of my heart, and I let go and I surrender, I have direct access to my soul. And my physical body feels better. And then suddenly, ailments and allergies or weird, strange body reaction, they stop. And then doctors don't know why or how, but you know. You've let go, you've surrendered, and you've let the body do its job to process the initial hurt that maybe hasn't been processed. So we have direct connection to our soul in the space of our heart. And we can feel that love in that space.